Before we delve into these three powerful words, let us first understand the nature of reality itself. For you see, the world you perceive around you is not separate from you. It is not an external entity that exists independently of your consciousness. No, my dear friends, the world you see is a reflection, a perfect mirror of your own inner state of being. Everything you experience in your day-to-day, every person you encounter, every situation you find yourself in, is but an outward expression of your inner scan. This is the fundamental truth that underpins all of creation. And it is the foundation upon which we will build our understanding of these three transformative words. Now you might be wondering, Neville, what are these three words that hold such power? I assure you, they are simple in their utterance but profound in their impact. These three words are, I remember when. Yes, you heard correctly. I remember when. These three simple words, when used correctly, have the power to reshape your reality, to bring your deepest desires into manifestation, to transform your dreams into tangible experiences in your physical world. But how, you might ask, can such simple words hold such immense power? To understand this, we must first grasp the concept of living in the end. You see, creation is finished. All possible states, all possible realities already exist in the infinite mind of God. And you, my dear friends, are that God in man. When you say, I remember when, you are not speaking of a future event. You are not hoping for something to happen. No, you are recalling a memory, an experience that has already occurred in your imagination. And your imagination, I assure you, is the very workshop of creation. Let us take a moment to explore this concept further. Imagine, if you will, a desire that you hold dear to your heart. Perhaps it's a new job, a loving relationship, perfect health, or financial abundance. Whatever it may be, hold that desire in your mind. Now, instead of longing for it, instead of seeing it as something in the future that you hope to attain, I want you to shift your perspective. See yourself in a future state where your desire has already been fulfilled. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the contentment of having already achieved your goal. From this state of fulfillment, look back on your current situation and say to yourself, I remember when I didn't have this job, or I remember when I was struggling financially, or I remember when I was searching for love. Do you see what we're doing here? We're not affirming a future state. We're recalling a past condition that no longer exists. This, my friends, is the power of I remember when. It places you in the consciousness of already having what you desire. It shifts your entire being into the state of the wish fulfilled. And when you occupy this state, when you live from this end, the outer world has no choice but to conform to your inner reality. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this seems like mere fantasy. How can simply imagining something make it real? To those of you harboring such doubts, I say this: your very life at this moment is the result of your past imaginings and assumptions. Every condition in your life, whether desired or undesired, was once merely a thought, an assumption in your mind. You may not have been conscious of it at the time, but your habitual thoughts and beliefs shape the reality you now experience. If this is true for the undesired conditions in your life, why would it not be true for your desired conditions? The law is impartial. It does not discriminate between what you consider good or bad, desirable or undesirable. It simply outpictures in your physical reality whatever state you occupy in your imagination. Let me share with you a personal experience during the prior at this point. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation where I desperately wanted to return to my home in Barbados, but I lacked the means to do so. Instead of focusing on my lack, on my inability to make the journey, I began to use these three powerful words. Every night, as I lay in my bed in New York City, I would close my eyes and say to myself, I remember when I wanted to go to Barbados. I would then construct a scene in my imagination where I was lying on the beach in Barbados, feeling the warm sand beneath my body, hearing the waves crash upon the shore, smelling the salt in the air. I would occupy this state, feeling the naturalness of being Barbados, until drifted off to sleep. I did this night after night without wavering, without doubting. And do you know what happened? With a matter of weeks, I received a letter from my sister containing funds for my passage to Barbados. Miss Evans, is the law in action. I did not make it happen through any physical effort. I did not scheme or plan. I simply lived in the end in the debt of the wish fulfilled, and the outer world rearranged itself to match my inner assumption. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, surely it can't be that simple. There must be more to it than just imagining and saying, I remember when. And to that I say yes and no. Yes, there is more to it in the sense that this is not a mere intellectual exercise. It's not enough to simply say the words or to visualize your desire as a daydream. You must feel it. You must occupy the state. You must live from the end as if it were your present reality. But no, there isn't more to it in the sense that you don't need to figure out how your desire will come to pass. You don't need to manipulate external circumstances or people. The how is not your concern. Your only task is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to persist in that assumption. Let's delve deeper into the mechanics of this process. When you say, I remember when, you are engaging in a mental act that does several powerful things simultaneously. Firstly, it places your desire in the past tense. By remembering when you didn't have something, you are implying that you now have it. This subtle shift in perspective is crucial. It moves you from a state of wanting or lacking to a state of having and being. Secondly, it engages your memory centers. Your brain doesn't distinguish between an actual memory and a vividly imagined one. By constructing a scene where you remember your current state from the perspective of your desired state, you are creating a new memory, a new pattern in your consciousness. Thirdly, it bypasses your rational mind's objections. If you would simply affirm, I have my dream job or I am in perfect health, your rational mind immediately counter. But this isn't true. But when you say, I remember when I was looking for a job, or I remember when I was struggling with my health, your mind accepts this as a plausible statement. After all, you're not claiming anything about your current state. You're simply resimplification. Let me be clear. This is not about positive thinking or mere wishful thinking. This is about a fundamental shift in your state of being. It's about occupying a new state of consciousness, one that is aligned with your desire. Think of it this way: in any given moment, you are occupying a particular state. If you're in a state of lack, you will experience lack in your outer world. If you're in a state of abundance, you will experience abundance. Your task then is to move from your current state to the state of your wish fulfilled. The phrase "one remember" when is a tool to facilitate this movement. It's a bridge between your current state and your desired state. These use these words and constructing a vivid scene in your imagination. You are literally stepping into a new state of being. But here's the crucial point. You must persist in this new state. It's not enough to do this once or twice and then revert to your old patterns of thinking and feeling. You must live from this new state consistently, persistently, until it becomes your new normal. This is where many people falter. They might try this technique for a day or two, see no immediate results in their outer world, and then give up, declaring that it doesn't work. But remember, my friends, your outer world is a reflection of your inner state. It may take time for your outer circumstances to catch up with your new inner reality. During this period of transition, you must have faith. Not blind faith, but faith born of understanding. Faith in the law that governs all creation. Faith that what you have experienced in your imagination must by necessity manifest in your outer world. Now let's address another common question that arises when discussing this concept. Many people ask, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to take action to make our desires a reality? To this I say, action will be inspired. When you truly occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, when you live consistently from the end, you will find yourself naturally taking the actions that lead to the manifestation of your desire. But here's the key. These actions will not feel like effort or struggle. They will feel natural, almost inevitable. You won't be pushing against reality. You'll be flowing with it. The right people, the right opportunities, the right circumstances will appear in your life as if by magic. But it's not magic, it's law. Consider this. If you truly believed with every fiber of your being that you already had what you desire, how would you act? What decisions would you make? How would you carry yourself? The answers to these questions will guide your actions more effectively than any external advice or strategy. Let's take a moment to practice this technique together. I want you to think of something you desire. It could be anything, a material object, a relationship, a career opportunity, a state of being. Hold that desire in your mind. Now close your eyes, take a deep breath, and relax your body. Imagine yourself in a future moment where your desire has been fulfilled. See yourself living in that reality. Feel the emotions associated with having your desire. From this place of fulfillment, look back on your current situation and say to yourself, I remember when I didn't have this. Feel the gratitude of having moved beyond your current circumstances. Feel the joy of living in your desired reality. Open your eyes. How did that feel? Did you notice a shift in your emotional state? This is the power of I remember when. It allows you to experience, if only for a moment, the reality of your desire. And remember what you can experience in your imagination, you can experience in your outer world. Now, some of you might be wondering about the role of repetition in this process. How often should you engage in this mental exercise? The answer is, as often as necessary to maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. For some, this might mean doing it once a day, perhaps before going to sleep at night. For others, it might mean revisiting this state multiple times throughout the day. The frequency is less important than the quality of the experience and your ability to maintain the feeling of the being fulfilled. Remember, your subconscious mind, which is the creative power within you, does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience in the outer world. By repeatedly entering the state of the wish fulfilled through the use of I remember, when you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the reality of your desire. Now let's address another aspect of this practice that often goes overlooked, the importance of feeling. It's not enough to merely visualize or verbalize your desire. You must feel it. You must experience the emotion associated with having your desire fulfilled. Emotion is the secret sauce, the catalyst that brings your imaginal acts to life. When you combine the words I remember when with a vivid imagination and genuine emotion, you create a powerful cocktail for manifestation. Think about it. When you truly remember something, it's not just a visual recall. You experience the emotions associated with that memory. The same principle applies here. When you say, I remember when, and construct your scene, allow yourself to feel the joy, the relief, the excitement, the gratitude of having moved from your current state to your desired state. This emotional component is crucial because your emotional state is a direct indicator of the state of consciousness you're occupying. If you're feeling lack, you're in a state of lack. If you're feeling abundance, you're in abundance. By deliberately cultivating the emotion associated with your desire, you're tuning yourself to the frequency of that desire. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, what if I can't feel it? What if it seems too far-fetched or unbelievable? To this I say, start small. Begin with something that feels within reach, something you can believe in. Remember, the law works on the smallest desire, just as it does on the grandest. By starting with smaller, more believable desires, you build your faith in the law. You prove to yourself that it works. And as your faith grows, so too will your ability to tackle larger, seemingly more impossible it is so. Let's take a moment to address another crucial aspect of this practice, detachment. This might seem counterintuitive. After all, if we're focusing on our desire, shouldn't we be attached to it? But here's the paradox. The more attached you are to your desire, the more you push it away. When you're attached to an outcome, you're operating from a state of lack. You're saying, I need this to happen in order to be happy or fulfilled. But remember, the outer world is a reflection of your inner state. If you're in a state of needing or wanting, you'll continue to experience needing and wanting. This is where I remember when becomes so powerful. By placing your desire in the past, by recalling it as a memory, you naturally detach from it. You're not grasping for it, you're simply recollecting it. This subtle shift can make all the difference in your manifestation practice. Now let's address a question that often arises, what about other people? Can I use this technique to influence others or change their behavior? The answer is both yes and no. Yes, in the sense that everyone in your world is you pushed out. They are reflecting back to you your own assumptions and beliefs about them and about yourself. By changing your assumptions, by living from the end where people treat you as you desire to be treated, you will naturally see a change in their behavior towards you. But no, in the sense that you cannot violate another person's free will. You're not manipulating or controlling others. You're simply aligning yourself with a reality where people naturally act in accordance with your assumptions. This brings us to another important point, responsibility. With this knowledge comes great responsibility. You are the operant power in your world. You are the one shaping your reality through your assumptions and beliefs. This means that you can no longer blame others or external circumstances for your experiences. If you don't like what you're experiencing, you have the power to change it. This can be a hard pill to swallow for some, but it's also incredibly liberating. It puts you in the driver's seat of your life. And let's go back to our three powerful words, I remember when. I want you to really internalize the potency of this phrase. When you say, I remember when, you are doing something truly revolutionary. You are collapsing time. In your imagination, there is no past, present, or future. There is only now. When you construct a scene where you remember your current state from the perspective of your desired state, you are bringing your desire into the now. You are making it real in the only place it can be made real, in your consciousness. This is why persistence is so crucial. You must persist in the assumption that what you desire is already yours already. You must live from that assumption consistently, persistently, until it hardens into fact in your outer world. Remember, your outer world is always playing catch up to your inner world. It may take time for your physical reality to reflect your new state of consciousness. During this time, you must hold fast to your new assumption. You must live as if your desire is already fulfilled, regardless of what your senses tell you. This requires faith, yes, but not blind faith. It requires faith based on understanding, faith based on the knowledge that your imagination creates reality. It requires you to trust the law, to trust the process, to trust yourself. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when discussing these concepts, the idea of worthiness. Many people feel that they are not worthy of their desires, that they don't deserve good things to happen to them. To this I say, worthiness is a state. Like any other state, you can choose to occupy it or not. If you feel unworthy, it's because you're occupying a state of unworthiness. The solution is not to try to become worthy, it's to assume that you already are worthy. This is where I remember when can be particularly powerful. You can say, I remember when I felt unworthy, implying that you now feel completely worthy and deserving of your good. By doing this, you're shifting from a state of unworthiness to a state of worthiness. Remember, in the realm of imagination, there are no limitations. You are not bound by your past experiences, your current circumstances, or others' opinions of you. In your imagination, you are free to be, do, and have whatever you desire. As we near the end of our discussion, I want to emphasize a crucial point. This is not a technique to be used occasionally when you want something. This is a way of life. It's a fundamental shift in how you interact with reality. When you truly understand and apply this principle, you'll find that you're no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. You're no longer a passive observer of your life, but an active creator. You're writing the script of your life with every assumption you hold, every state you occupy. The phrase one remember when is a tool, a powerful one, but it's not the only tool. The real power lies in your ability to consciously choose the state you occupy, to live from the end, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. As you go forth from here, I encourage that we experiment this technique. Apply it to all areas of your life. Use it for material desires, yes, but also states of being. Say, I remember when I wasn't anxious to move into a state of calm. Say, I remember when I felt unloved, to move into a state of feeling deeply loved and appreciated. Remember, the outer world has no choice but to reflect your inner state, as within, so without. This is the law. And by using I remember when, you are working with the law, not against it. In conclusion, my dear friends, I want you to really take to heart the power of these three words, I remember when. They are a key that can unlock the infinite potential within you. They are a bridge between your current reality and your desired reality. Use them wisely, use them often, use them with feeling, and watch as your world transforms before your very eyes. For you are the operant power, you are the God in man, and your imagination is the very workshop of creation. Go forth and create the life you desire. Remember, it all begins with these three simple, Yet profound words I remember well. Thank you, and may your imagination be filled with wonderful things to remember.